You referenced to the name Melody Hobson, who is an incredible woman, very powerful, very intelligent. We had the actual privilege of hearing her speak. We started the show talking about founders and leadership. Talk about some of the characteristics you saw in her that elevated her to the top of Ariel Investments.
Well, thank you. I love to tell the story about meeting Melody. Princeton has this a program when once you graduate, they try to get alumni to agree to interview prospective Princeton students, and it's called the Schools Committee. So I volunteered for the Schools Committee, interviewed lots and lots of students as the years went on, ultimately became chairman of the Schools Committee. I created a special program for recruiting minority students to Princeton, and particularly with an emphasis on African American and Hispanic students for Princeton. And Melody, I met her as a 17-year-old prospective Princeton student. She came to all the events that I organized, for Black students, for all the students. And most importantly, she came to a dinner that we hosted for all the admitted students in April of her senior year in high school. And I put her at the head table because she had shown so much charisma. You could tell how brilliant she was and how energized she was, how ambitious she was. So, you're putting together a head table of all the recruits that you're trying to get to go to Princeton. And we at the same table, we had our key basketball recruit, a guy named Kit Miller, who ended up being the number 2 scorer in Princeton's history. And as you know, I played basketball at Princeton, so it was really cool to have Kit there. And anyway, long story short, Melody sat next to a person who heard she was going to Harvard, and she had just come to the dinner to be polite. And he neutralized her. He pushed her and pushed her and pushed her, basically said, "You've got to reconsider this." And the next week, to help reinforce it, he took her to a breakfast where former Senator and Nick great Bill Bradley was in town in Chicago doing a fundraising tour for his Senate race. And Bill Bradley actually closed the deal with Melody. And it's just been fun because when Melody got married, 11, 12 years ago, Bill Bradley walked her down the aisle. And so that was kind of sort of full circle thing. And, just Melody was just someone from the early days. She just, got everything done that you gave her. She was the ultimate teammate. Whatever you asked her to do, she got it done well. She got it done on time. She got it done early. If I needed her to go places on Saturday morning, I'd often go to the Rainbow Push breakfasts and support Reverend Jackson. She would get up and, meet me for breakfast at McDonald's, and we'd head off to Rainbow. That extra effort on Saturday morning, someone in their 20s isn't going to be thinking that way. She was just all in. And then she just fell in love with the business, studied everything there was to know about investing and marketing mutual funds. And so she became president of the company by the time she was 30. And kind of the rest is history. She just couldn't find someone who was more just absolutely so strong, brilliant, tough. And you could send her anywhere and she'd get the job done for you.
Do you think that kind of initiative and spark is in a person, or do you think that can be taught? Because I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say that it's hard to find great help. In the instance in Melody, do you think that can be trained in a person inside of a company, or do you think they have to come with that initiative on their own?
I think it's really, really hard to teach that kind of initiative. I think it is in you. It is interesting. Coach Carrill, my coach at Princeton, used to always say, by the time you get here, there's certain things I just can't teach you. If you don't have vision, you don't see the court, I can't teach you to see. If you don't have a crossover like Jalen Brunson, I'm not going to be able to teach it to you when you got here. You had to learn that earlier. So I think there's the same to your point. I think people who are true leaders, who are great teammates, who get things done under pressure, they have that calmness around them. They're comfortable with, she was always comfortable with people 20 years older than she was. I think that comes the way she was brought up. She had like 5 siblings that were much, much older. I think as much as 20 years 20 years older. She sort of grew up as an only child, even though she had all these siblings. So she learned to be a mini adult at a very young age. Her mom was a single mom, hustling, not home a lot, not always able to pay the bills. So Melody had to learn how to persevere and get things done on her own. She has all these great stories about that. And so I think that it is really hard to teach.
I'm interested to know your thoughts on crypto.
I'm very cautious on crypto. I know that our research shows that African Americans we're over indexed to crypto relative to white Americans. But I would be really cautious. I think, we like to invest in companies that actually provide a service or manufacture something that is, pretty special. And crypto is something that's just based upon what someone's willing to pay for it. It actually doesn't, add any utility to our society. It's unlike, you own a farm and you can grow corn or wheat or whatever, and you've got something. You own stock in Clorox, and like one of our favorites is Smuckers. They make jellies and jams, and you get something real for it. Crypto, you just are owning an asset, hoping it'll go up, and I think that's not a real safe way to invest for the long run. You might be able to trade it short term and be successful as a short term trader, but it's really not an investable asset for the long term, I think.